Welcome to Trade Talk, the podcast where construction pros connect, share, and grow. Brought to you by Contractors Connect, this show dives into real-world issues facing today's builders on and off the job site.
Whether you're swinging a hammer, running a crew, or scaling a business, we've got the insights, stories, and expert tips to help you level up in the building industry.
I'm Sarah White.
And I'm Erin Bacher. And together, we'll be talking shop with industry leaders, tradespeople, and innovators who are shaping the future of construction.
Let's get to work. This is Trade Talk. Welcome to Trade Talk, the podcast where construction pros connect, share, and grow. I'm your host, Sarah White, and today's episode is very special because we are live at the Emerald Grande for our very first Built to Lead Women in Construction Summit. We've had a fabulous day of speakers, and now we are wrapping it up with a panel discussion with some leaders in the construction industry who are fabulous women, and we're going to ask them some questions, and hopefully everybody will leave feeling excited and inspired. So to get started, I'm going to have our panelists introduce themselves. Everybody just say who you are, what you do, and what you do in construction.
Hi everyone, my name is Elaine Silva. I'm owner of Silva Cleaning Service. This is how I'm doing here.
Hello, my name is Katie Fuentes. I am the operations manager for a custom home builder, Chase Green.
I'm Emily Natalio. I work with D.R. Horton as the city manager in Panama City East.
Hi, can y'all hear me? Hi, I'm Caroline McCarty. I'm a civil engineer and I run a engineering firm in the area.
Hi guys, I'm Kiffin McInturf. I am a business development manager for the multifamily sector at LP Building Solutions.
And I'm Ashley Curtin. I'm an independent human resources consultant. So if you guys screw up, then you call me, and I hopefully try to fix it.
So to get us started, I have a few questions, and people have already sent in some questions as well, and then we will open it up to the audience for your questions if we have time. So to start off, I'm going to ask a question, and if one of you have like a burning desire to answer it, we'll pass the mic along, okay? So how do you navigate being the only woman in the room in certain settings? Katie.
Love that for me. So my background, I have always worked in construction. I did not go to school to work in construction. I have an advertising degree, so obviously I didn't even know what sheetrock was when I first started working for Randy Wise in 2011. I'll never live that down. But I think for now is having confidence. I think we've all heard a lot of wonderful women talk about that today. And being authentic to when you don't know something, not being afraid to admit that. You know, I think a lot of times people always say, like, fake it till you make it. I hate that saying. This is why people are going to know when you're BSing them. And there's nothing wrong with saying, you know what, I don't know the answer to that right now, but I will get it to you by the end of the day, and always follow through with that. I do that all the time because I'm not a super technical person, but I do make things happen every single day. So I think just having the confidence and knowing what your strengths and weaknesses are and leaning on the people that are around you for your weaknesses so that they can fill in the void of that.
Kiffin, I see you nodding. You want to add on?
She's exactly correct. Sometimes it's really hard to walk into a room with all men. It's kind of intimidating. I do it day in and day out. Luckily, there's more women in the industry now than there really ever has been. But when I started in this industry 13 years ago, there wasn't a lot of women, and you weren't respected at all. You had to really work hard to prove yourself, and exactly what you said, just if you go in there and be honest, and if you don't know, say you don't know, be able to get back to them, and then learn along the way and continue to grow. That's the best way for anybody to gain that confidence to walk into that room.
All right, if you could change one thing about the industry tomorrow, what would it be? Emily?
Well, that's a difficult question considering the topic that I addressed all the challenges in construction. I think the one thing that I would change tomorrow would be consistent interest rates to make housing more affordable for everyone. If you're in the industry, that's one of the biggest current challenges is making sure that we can provide housing to those that need it and that want it and make it reasonably priced. And that's through interest rates.
All right, so my next well, does anybody else want to jump in on that question? Is there something you would want to change in the construction industry? No, controversial is great.
Obviously, with recent events in Walton and Okaloosa County over the past couple of days, I would love to see there be better options for our Latin American workers to be able to work here legally because we depend on them very heavily to do what we do, and I wish that would improve tremendously quickly.
Yes, definitely. Do you want to add to that? No?
The next one.
Okay. All right. Ashley, you wanted to add something?
Kind of expanding upon that, and I think most people know that from an HR perspective, when you talk about your skilled tradesmen, your individuals that are in the group, what I've seen and what I think we've lost is that mentorship program, true mentorship. We talked about it a little bit in the recruiting and retention, that there aren't a lot of people going out to trade schools, realizing that you can grab these kids at a time frame when they don't know what they want and they have full access. And you owners, especially the people that are running your construction companies, bringing in your top guys, meeting these young men and taking raw talent, green people, and building them up. It's a lot more work. It takes a lot more investment of your time and your resources, but you get better staff. You get people that buy into your company, buy into you as individuals, and you can build them from the ground up. And I don't see that anymore. I see a lot of people hiring folks just based on a resume. Hey, this is what you did. Hey, this is where you've been. And that's not always where you can get the best folks, and definitely not the right kind of buy-in for the people that'll have longevity with your company.
Definitely.
There's
Okay.
a great new trade school in Baldwin County, Alabama. My son just started going there, and I think that would be fantastic to be able to have some mentorship at that kind of high school level and really guide them into their next career. So I think that's a great point.
Nice. Anybody else want to add on to that one? Okay. My next question is, what's one piece of advice you would give to a woman here today who's looking to step into leadership? And I'm going to have this wonderful lady who stepped into leadership and started her own business answer.
My advice for the ladies start your own business is don't give up, don't wait, everything stay perfect. Look like me, that's I say about my story. I say I wait my perfect English, say I wait everything stay perfect. I can't do nothing. That's why I say don't give up, doing everything you want. See, everything is not perfect now, but doing. Go, KO, get.
Yeah. Caroline?
I would say you're going to fail. Everybody fails, and it's okay to fail. The best part of failure is that you learn from it, you grow from it, you take those experiences, and you move forward. This year, I helped bring down an engineering firm, started it from scratch. I have failed so much this year, so much, but I've learned a lot. And those experiences are going to help me in the long run. So it's okay to fail and be okay with that.
Katie touched on it just a little while ago, but being you and being authentic, we can all go on Instagram, we can go on Pinterest and see 8 million women that look identical to each other, or you can just walk forward every day and go, I am me, this is who I am. People can smell fake from a mile away. The fake it till you make it, horrible. Please don't do that, because everybody knows that you're faking it. But if you come forward, you fail, you aren't afraid of doing it, then you get people that buy into you, and they buy you. They buy your personality, they buy everything about it, and it's so much better than being a twin version of some chick on the internet. It really is.
Definitely. Authenticity is important. Anybody else want to add in on that one? Okay, go ahead.
I think it's really important to build the people up around you, whether it's your peers, your boss. I mean, I work in a very small team, and we all support each other every single day. We have each other's back. We know each other on such a deep level that we know what motivates each other. I know what their interests are. So it makes you feel seen and important. You know how to, you just motivate people when you know them and you've built that relationship with them. Also with your subcontractors and your clients as well. Knowing them on a very personal level, you're going to know what makes them tick, what is going to make them happy, and it makes for a much more enjoyable experience.
Definitely. Okay, I have a question from the audience, and it says, I recently left my non-construction related career field and joined my husband's construction business. He's run this business by himself for the past 20 years, and I've been at it full time for a solid year and a half. When speaking to others, I don't know if it's proper to say this is our business or that I work for my husband. He says our business when we talk to people now, however, on paper, officially he is the owner. What title and attitude should I carry moving forward? And I think, Erin, you wanted to speak to this.
I relate to this because my husband owns a roofing company, Specialty Roofers, and I've lived a million lives. I've done a lot of different things. But after I owned a marketing firm for a while, closed it, and then went full time with Specialty Roofers. Just trying to, I don't know, I do all kinds of different things. But it took me a minute to find myself in his company and not overstep, the company wasn't new to me in my head, but I was new to the company. I'd been doing things with the company behind the scenes before, but then all of a sudden you show up in there and everyone's like, where'd she come from, And I move fast. So I think it took some getting used to me, but I guess what I said last night is you just own it. You were brought, if your husband, I don't know who, somebody in here asked this question, but if your husband asks you to come and be a part of his business and he says, it's our business, who cares what it says on paper? I think it doesn't even matter if it's not your husband, if you work there, where you all work somewhere, it's your business. You own it. It's your brand. You just do it. I don't know. You own it. So I couldn't quite figure out what my role was there at first. I thought it was going to be marketing, which would make sense. But I really started doing more strategy and kind of like trying to, Courtney's like, she was there. She was probably one of the ones that was like, when's she leaving? I mean, she didn't say no. But there was some like systems that needed tweaking because there was 2 women and they'd be better off if there were like 10, But anyway, I called myself the business development director because it was a broader term and I was working on helping them develop the business and sub-brands for their business, and I did it. And now I'm doing this. So I don't know. I think you just own it.
So and I can speak directly to that. My husband and I have owned a few companies over the years, some of them just his, some of them mine, some of them ours, yours, mine, and ours. Isn't that an awful movie or good? How do we feel? We don't know. But to Erin's point, you own it. You're number one, this is your spouse. So have the conversation. Is this our company? Is that our brand? Is that what we are doing together? We have a company that is 1,000% my husband's. There is no way in hell my husband would say right now, I also am an HR consultant. You don't want to hire him. He's bad. So, and I agree to that. You, whoever you are, were brought in and asked because your spouse finds value in what you're doing. And I bet you're the other pieces, if we're looking at a puzzle, that you kind of fit in, and he needs you, whatever you're bringing to the table. So I second, absolutely own it. Now, if you aren't bringing value, that's a whole nother topic, but exactly. But you were brought in, you were asked, you're adding value, you're working, it's yours, 1,000%.
Okay. A next audience question that we have is, what book have you read that changed your professional life and view on how you do business? Don't everybody raise your hand at once.
I'm the one with the mic. I feel like it's a hot potato. I do read a lot of books, so that's a broad question. I probably would say, in terms of helping me be better daily, there's a book that I pop in and out of and reread different chapters, and it's the Leaders Eat Last book. If you don't read books individually, like some people, they like podcasts and they like audiobooks, all of that's out there. But that one really brings home different aspects of leadership and not a traditional sense. I've tried to implement different items from different books throughout the years, and that's the one I keep revisiting.
Say the name again.
Leaders Eat Last.
We talked about it a little bit in the organization boundaries breakout. Atomic Habits. Yes, it's so good. It's incredible. Anything by Adam Grant, really, really good. And I found, I don't know if we have any other readers, but the books that, in my opinion, do the best are the ones that when you open them up and they glaringly point at you and go, you could do better. This is a weakness. Where can we improve? And you open up the page and you go, oh my God, are they looking at me? Do they see me? Like, this is embarrassing. But that's the best way to grow, is to point a finger in like the bullet hole and move it around a little bit and make it uncomfortable. Adam Grant, though, really, really good in Atomic Habits. Did he write Atomic Habits? No. Thank you.
Okay, so my next question, we've kind of touched on this already. This is another one from the audience. What do you see as the biggest supply gap in the area when it comes to labor and/or materials?
It's labor, people. It's the saddest thing, I think, and I'm going to mess up my own statistic that I looked up. For every 9 that leave the trade, 2 come in. So you've got an aging workforce that are about to retire. They were good, they were skilled, but it's time for them to either end their careers entirely or they're not physically capable of returning. You have so they're 50s, beginning of 60s. Then you have 40s and 30s with 0 skills. And when I say 0, I mean like all capital letters, 0. And then you have this younger generation, because it went through gaps, right? First it was the hardest worker in the room is going to get a job. And then it was like, well, let's do better than the people before us and our parents. Let's now be the smartest. So now you have a bunch of educated people, went to college, now they're the smartest, but they have no hard-working skills. Then you have this other group that looked at those 2 groups and were like, well, shoot, they're all unemployed now. What is the right way? And so we talked about it multiple times, but I can't say this enough. There's a group of 18, 19, 20-year-olds that are about to leave high school, maybe go to college, maybe not. They're living at home. They don't know what they want to do. Grab them and show them what is possible and make your own staff, make your own workforce. But the people are the hardest. And this area is tough too, because, I mean, at least for one of our companies, all of our staff come from Defuniak, Ponce de Leon, and Freeport. That's a 30, 45-hour-long drive. And they don't live here. They got to drive. That's hard. Housing and labor, affordable housing. You guys build houses. Can we build affordable houses? Is that not that simple? No.
I'll piggyback off of that. So I feel like we talked about the same things in our breakout session. So I do agree. It's people. If y'all sat through my breakout session, it was a lot focused on building up the youth. So if the labor shortage isn't solved in terms of now, which we can't really react to now, we got to think about the younger generation. And I say take it back even further than high school. A lot of it is focused on high school, if y'all sat in my breakout session, but take it down to elementary school. You know, put some tools in these kids' hands and see if that's something they enjoy. Make it an option. Plant the seed is what I said earlier. Plant the seed in the children's head that this is an option. Because a lot of times what I'm hearing about everybody, I feel like 50, easy, maybe 70% of this room is, hey, I didn't even know this career field was out there, right? So how do you get to those kids to make that an option in their brain as much as, you know, being a doctor or a nurse or in sales or whatever the case may be nowadays. But plant the seed early, make it fun, make it enjoyable, and let them go home and talk about it with their parents about what they did. I mean, that's a cool skill set to share if you invest in your local schools and get into their STEM classes. At Lynn Haven, we donated a Maplewood workshop for the kids, and every single kid in that school rolls through the STEM class in 4th and 5th grade, I believe, and maybe it's younger. Actually, I think it's 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade. They go through, and they all have a turn to get on these tools that are safe and approved by the school system.
That's awesome.
You said no thanks.
Okay, I have one more question that's been pre-submitted, and then I will turn it over to you guys if you have questions you want to ask. So as a female in a male-dominated industry, how do you handle men that don't feel as if women belong in this world?
So I spend a lot of time in the field every day, really. And so I'm obviously around all men ranging from in their 60s to people who are in my peers that are more in their 30s and 20s. So you have a large gamut of different personalities. I've noticed a couple different things. It's going to sound a little manipulative, but sometimes you got to play the game. Men love to feel really smart. And so I ask a lot of questions. If I don't know anything about plumbing or electrical work, so I will go to the foreman of the job or the lead person and say, hey, can you show me exactly how that works? Like, I'm not really understanding how that's going to happen. They eat it up. And I learned something. It sounds manipulative, but I do learn something from the conversation, and they feel like I care, which I do, and then they get excited. I built a relationship there. In 14 years, I've had one man who got ugly with me on a job site, and it was right when I started with Chase. Just an older gentleman, very grumpy, and just didn't like the way we were doing something, and he kind of started yelling, and I just stopped and I said, I will never speak to you like that, and you're not going to speak to me like that. I will go to the edge of the earth and back for you, but you're not going to speak to me like that. And from that day on, he never raised his voice with me. He was always extremely nice and respectful. So I think you just have to set boundaries with how you want to be treated and what's acceptable, and stick to it. And don't let that waver for anybody, because you deserve the best and to be treated the best.
I have a similar story about when I was first in the industry, speaking with a gentleman that was not so pleasant, and it was over the phone, and he was screaming at me about something that he didn't need to be screaming at me about, and I just hung up the phone. And he calls me back and he says, I think we got disconnected. And I said, no, sir, I hung up on you. I said, you don't get to speak to me like that. And ever since that day, he's like my best dancing partner now. So like we have like gone, there's so much respect built because you stood up for yourself and you said, you know what? No, you don't get to treat me like this. And that's with anybody, that's outside of this industry. That's just with anybody in life.
I'll piggyback off of that. Both of them are very correct. Another method is to over-prepare for that meeting. I always do due diligence on my client, on the project, anything that is going to be coming up, just so I'm prepared to have those answers, because they're not expecting you to do that. So prepare. Be over-prepared.
That mirrors some of the items that I talked about, was knowing your audience. Knowing your audience is key. That's investing in the meeting time if you know that you're going to meet these individuals, but also maintaining the respect boundary. But sometimes you just got to step out. If there's a group of people and they excuse you because it's man talk, because that did happen once, and you're sitting there with 4 men, 10-4, good buddy. I'm backing out of this conversation, and when nobody else can help solve that problem and they all have to look at you, awesome. I didn't have to be stern, assertive, anything over the top, which is required at times, no doubt, but sometimes you just gotta let it run its course and just let everybody see, like, hey, you know, I'm the leader in the room, and that actually should have been a respect issue in terms of everybody being looked at as, hey, who has the answer, instead of, excuse me, ma'am, this is man talk. We're gonna go over here and have this conversation. You can let it play out. You don't always know your audience. Sometimes the person needs you to be assertive and set boundaries. I'm not saying that. But other times, sometimes you just need to let the room sit with their feelings for a moment and let them realize what they've done. And then you enter back in and let them know who you are.
A lot of times what I've seen, because obviously human resources is predominantly women, but I am predominantly hired and employed by men. And I'm sitting in those board meetings, I'm sitting in those rooms with the C-suite, and it's mostly men. And it's been in times like that that I've remembered that I was hired, I was chosen, I know what I'm doing, I know that I'm good at it. And that confidence alone just radiates off of you, and just remembering that you got in the room to begin with. So you're there, bring value, over-prepare, but definitely don't back down. I think I've been spoken to horrifically by a gentleman once, maybe twice, and it's terrible. But when you pause, I love a good pause. We were in a board meeting, I'll never forget it. I won't say his name, but I can see it like it was yesterday. I paused, he got done, and I just waited, and I looked at him and said, "Are you finished?" And I think that was more embarrassing than anything, is reminding you that you're an adult, act like one. And for the most part, men are embarrassed, women are embarrassed when we act horribly. So let them do it and know who you are and whose you are. That's a phrase we say a lot in our family. Know who you are, know whose you are, and just let them do that. But be confident. You were hired, you were brought in the room to begin with, so bring value, be prepared, and don't forget that, regardless of whether you're standing in front of all men, all women, lizards, whatever. Just, yeah.
I'm going to take it a little bit outside of just the confidence part of dealing with it. So if you're in a room with a bunch of men and you've got a really great idea and they're not respecting your thought process because you are a woman in this industry and anything like that. So every one of us at some point in this room has dealt with children, and sometimes you have to make them think that it's their idea. And so sometimes you just have to change the words a little bit to make them think that it's their idea and let them win it, when really behind the scenes you're the one running it. And that has helped a lot. Just envision them as children.
Questions from the audience? We've got one up here.
All of you are amazing leaders, and if you were to give a piece of advice as far as leadership goes, when you first got into the industry, what is a key or crucial piece of leadership advice that you would give to your younger self?
Doing marketing and go to network. You go to network all the time, you see you grow and grow and grow so fast.
I would say be able to make your own opportunities, because a lot of times when you work for corporate companies especially, there's a very restricted what your job is going to be. This happened to me when I worked on base, and I was a contract administrator at the time, and I wanted to go be a project manager, but that opportunity was not available at that time. I talked to my boss about it. We were going to remodel an office that was on base, and I said, let me do it. I know I can do this. And he sat for a minute, and he said, okay, don't F it up. And I did it, and it was really awesome, and it gave me a lot of confidence. But he would have never come to me with that opportunity. I had to go to him and say, hey, let me do this. So you've got to be able to just kind of wiggle your way in there.
One thing I would say is, if you've worked for the company for a long time and you're trying to move up in leadership, you've made a lot of friends along the way. So it's going to be really hard to jump into that leadership position because the respect is not going to be at a leadership level. So really set your boundaries from the get-go, and you really have to make a hard line. You can be friends outside of work, but at work is work.
I started to come up with something and then I couldn't remember what it was. From a leadership perspective, and I see, not to knock women, we're all women here, one of the things that we do most poorly is sharing, because it was hard to get to where we got, right? We worked hard. It was really difficult to get here. And I don't necessarily want to tell you everything I did because you might take my spot. And that couldn't be further from the truth. Going back to mentorship, share everything you know, everything you've learned, everything that got you to where you are, give it to somebody else. I had a gentleman tell me years ago, you send the elevator down, So I'm on the top floor, I'm gonna send the elevator down, I'm gonna bring more people with me. And so when you do that, you start off with a room of 150, next year it's 300, the next year it's 600, because we keep sending the elevator down and bringing more people back up. And surround yourself with people smarter than you. It's a really hard thing to do, but it is the best thing you can do. For those of you that have kids, what do we say? You are the company you keep. If you're hanging out with riffraff, you yourself are going to be riffraff. I've always had a mentor, number one. Get a mentor. If you don't have one, get one. I don't care how old you are, get a mentor. But the people around you, make them smarter. If I'm bad at something, someone that I sit with and have lunch with is going to be better, and I'm going to pull everything I can out of them. And then they're going to do the same, and it's just people, really smart people, like leeching off of each other and growing and building, and but share everything.
I want to add to her mentor. I would really suggest getting a mentor that's opposite of you.
Ooh.
Somebody that is going to challenge your way of thinking, because the only way we're going to grow is if somebody challenges us, because it's really comfortable in the world that we live, and you're never going to get that growth that you want if you just stay put.
And I'll just reiterate, surround yourself with the good people. For instance, Courtney, she works with me, and she helped me build everything here. So surround yourself with people that you depend on, and they can depend on you. It goes both ways, and that's important to know. The other thing is lean into fear. You should be not fearful, but you should lean into being scared every once in a while, because that pushes you.
What are some common leadership blind spots that you see in companies, and how can leaders overcome them?
We talked a lot about surrounding yourself. What I find, and it's a men, women, people do it all the time. You end up hiring people that are the same as you. Everybody loves a good interview where you sit down and you're vibing and you're talking to them, and it's like, oh my gosh, I could have drinks with you. You then end up hiring yourself, and then you do it again, and then you hire yourself again, and before you know it, you have 15 employees that you all want to have drinks with, but not a single one of you can do pivot tables in an Excel spreadsheet, because you're all the same person. So surround yourself with different people, and just be careful. We talk about diversity. Like, diversity can be built with different skill sets. So I absolutely love when I get a person and I'm helping them hire, and they're like, I don't know that I really liked them. I'm like, we're not having drinks, we're building a team. We're not having drinks, we're building a team. We have culture, but that happens often.
I'll touch on that. A major blind spot that I see locally, I can't speak for the entire nation that I work for a corporation, but personally, my boss's favorite phrase that used to somewhat annoy me was inspect what you expect. So you can't assume, because we all know what that means sometimes. Mm-hmm. And it's our role and it's our job to inspect what we do expect of our team. I can see a lot of people through the years, and they're new to our team, and I'll send them something or ask them a question, and I know they have it, but it's my job to make sure they still got it and they hadn't forgotten about it. And they'll say, yeah, I got it. And I said, I understand. It's my job to inspect what I expect, and if I don't do that, then we might become complacent. So complacency can eat at your team culture and your business operations, so the continuous accountability is vital.
All right, anybody else have anything they want to add? Okay, well, this was a fabulous episode of Trade Talk. We had a great conversation, and I know that I learned a lot, and I hope you all did as well. This is the kind of thing that we do on Trade Talk every week, so please tune in. We are on Apple, Amazon, YouTube, Spotify, all the places, so please like, subscribe, and follow. Share it with a friend, and hopefully they'll get inspired as well. Thanks for tuning in to our very special live episode from the Emerald Grande. I'm Sarah White, and this is Trade Talk, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Thanks for tuning into Trade Talk, powered by Contractors Connect, where construction pros connect, share, and grow.
If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to like and subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your crew.
Until next time,
Stay sharp
stay safe.
and keep building.